Now to Ukraine, where Kyiv says its forces were managing to stabilize the situation around Bakhmut in the east. Now, most of the city lies in ruins, and it's been the site of the longest battle of the Russian invasion. For months, Russian forces led by the private military group Wagner have been trying to take Bakhmut. The British Defense Ministry gave an intelligence update today saying that Russia's assault on the city has largely stalled. And for more on the humanitarian situation in Bakhmut at the moment, we're joined by Achille Despres. He is the spokesperson for the International Committee of the Red Cross in Ukraine. Thanks so much for being with us here on France 24. Before the war, there were some 70,000 people living in Bakhmut. Most of them have now fled the city. What can you tell us about the number of people who remain there in the city and the humanitarian crisis they're facing?
Evacuated. It's estimated that several thousands remain in Bakhmut. I was myself with humanitarian convoys near Bakhmut in localities right outside the city, and several thousands of civilians still remain, a lot of them actually displaced from Bakhmut. So in this area, really, the front line has moved, and some people have actually fled the front line as it was coming closer to them. So we estimate that several thousand civilians remain there, and the situation that they have to live in is just unbelievable in the sense that the scale of destruction is shocking. Very few buildings haven't been damaged or destroyed, so civilians remaining there need the essential. They really need humanitarian assistance, and that's why we at the International Committee of the Red Cross are going to these locations to provide them with what they need.
Yeah, tell us a little bit more about that. What is the situation, and what kind of needs do they have at the moment that are most pressing?
People there are lacking really the essentials. They need water, they need food, they need blankets, they need clothes. I spoke to a woman who left Bakhmut, and I met her in Konstantinivka, right outside of Bakhmut, and she told me that her and her family left the city with nothing but what they could carry. So they really need anything. Hygiene items. We delivered with the International Committee of the Red Cross 6,000 liters of drinking water right outside Bakhmut, and also we deliver food parcels. We deliver also hygiene things so that people can stay healthy. We are talking really about people's basic needs that need to be met for them to survive in such a dire humanitarian situation.
As I mentioned, and as we can see by the images, much of Bakhmut lies in ruins, and Russian troops have been trying to surround the city. How difficult has it been to get humanitarian aid into the city and into the people who need it?
It's very challenging. We are not going into Bakhmut proper because the intensity of the fighting that's going on just makes it impossible. But we're going a few kilometers away where many civilians have fled. And it's really difficult to reach these places because the roads are not the best. There are lots of military checkpoints. It's a heavily militarized area. So also our teams, our convoys have to drive on roads that have risks of being mined or contaminated by weapons. So we are taking these risks because we know that there are civilians there that could not evacuate or refuse to evacuate, and that they have very dire humanitarian needs that need to be served. And that's what we are here for, to serve these needs, even in areas very, very close to the active fighting.
What about the tens of thousands of people who have fled Bakhmut? Where exactly have they gone, and what kind of challenges are they facing?
As people have been displaced from the front line, a lot of them are in neighboring areas. So as I said, I was in Konstantinivka, and it's estimated that 200 families from Bakhmut are there, and they need basically everything. But a lot of them will continue or have already continued their journey westward into Ukraine, into safer areas. And there, as displaced people, of course, they also need humanitarian aid. And we are providing internally displaced people with also financial assistance and basic assistance like food and clothes, so that they can live in decent conditions as they are on the move to a safer location.
That's certainly a desperate situation. Achille Despres, spokesperson for the International Committee of the Red Cross in Ukraine. Thanks so much for your work and for joining us here on France 24.